Hey everyone and welcome. Now, as you're probably aware, the Palestine protests have been ongoing with some pretty vile placards and some pretty vile slogans. And we've also seen the police make apology after apology for it, saying it doesn't mean mass murder or anything like that. No, jihadi can be all sorts of things. We can't tell what it is really, so we'll just have to put up with it.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Well, here is Sir Mark Rowley, as he's defending the Met's police in a pro-Palestine protest by admitting that there's crimes committed in these protests and doing very, very little about it. Have a listen to this.
We're determined to do everything we can do within the law that creates the frameworks around protest to make sure that we balance the rights of protesters with not having the centre of London as a place that people such as yourself are afraid to come into.
There's video footage of you doing exactly that over and over and over again. They think that we're all blind and stupid, everyone. They think if they tell you a lie enough, you'll start believing it. And this slaphead is a prime example.
Do you think your men and women are being robust enough, Commissioner?
I think we are.
Go ahead. There are reports that, of course, there are people who've been carrying offensive banners, people who go with balaclavas, people who even chant the "from the river to the sea," and your men and women just watch.
That's not true. We've been arresting people, anybody who's committing offences, wherever possible. We've arrested them on the day. Even when they've been in the middle of crowds, we've been doing sort of interception tactics where you go into the middle of a crowd and take them out, which is very difficult.
No, they haven't. Remember when they were climbing about on the war memorials and they were asked politely if they'd come down? Does that look like policing to you, or does that look like capitulation?
And where we don't spot it on the day, bear in mind if you've got 50 or 100,000 people and someone puts a bandana on for a couple of minutes for a photo and puts it away, you might not spot them.
That's admittance one, that people are walking around with balaclavas and bandanas on their faces. Let's continue.
We follow it up with appeals and we make arrests. The thing that is really disturbing about these protests is even though you've got tens of thousands of people who are behaving sensibly, we have tens of people who are hate crime posters, terrorist supporting posters, and it's completely unacceptable. And every one of these protests, we're arresting tens of people for that.
At which point, on all other protests from natives, would be enough to shut down the protesting altogether, usually with riot police and batons, but not so for them. I wonder why that is, Rowley.
At the end of the march, we've put strict conditions on because we have seen some of the earlier ones where groups of young men then go sort of in large numbers through sort of Covent Garden, Leicester Square and those sorts of areas, which again sort of creates a sense of fear.
And yet you've done nothing about it. I could show you hundreds of videos of them doing just this, and he's saying that it was tens of people. Tens. There's admittance too, so eventually you can get out of him that there are quite a few placards and terrorist supporters, and there are quite a few roaming gangs of youths that are creating fear in the population, and yet it's only a few of them, obviously. It was a mostly peaceful protest. Absolute joke, isn't it, the way these people apologise for what is effectively illegality. And this is a cop, the lead cop.
We've been very clear on the dispersal to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're trying to manage it as tightly as we can do.
Now, at this point, does anyone believe a word he said? Or do they believe that no matter what happens, he's going to find an excuse for it? Imagine if it was you doing any of those things. Would you be able to have the leader of the Met Police issuing excuse after excuse for you on LBC radio? Of course you wouldn't. This man is corrupted to the core, as far as I'm concerned. This is why we've got multi-level policing. It's because of fraggles like him. Let me know what you think, though. I'd like to know your opinion. Stay sane. I'll see you on the next one.